And we're also joined in the press box tonight by new Jacksonville head coach, Montey Stevenson. Coach Stevenson brings a wealth of experience and a proven track record of success to Jacksonville ISD. He's a graduate of Alvarado High School, where he went on to play defensive tackle at the University of North Texas. After his college playing days, he played professionally for the New Orleans Voodoo of the Arena Football League and the Calgary Stampeders of the CFL. Coach Stevenson began his coaching career with 2 separate 3-year stints as an assistant at Copperas Cove High School, followed by 3 seasons at River Oaks Castleberry High School. In his most recent position, he served as the defensive coordinator at Alvarado High School, where he played a pivotal role in leading the team to an impressive 13-1 record in 2024. Coach Stevenson, we're excited to have you here in Jacksonville, and there's a lot of excitement about you being here in the community. We actually had someone come up to us at Legends the other day that was like, do we need to go ahead and book a hotel for the 3rd round against Highland Park? He made it kind of jokingly. Everyone just wants us to, be competitive, because that's not been the case over the last several years. So once again, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I think we just put one out into the street, Ryan. That's the first time all season I've seen them kick a ball and it go completely out into the highway. But I'm pretty sure it bounced off the roof and went right out into the highway.
That's because you haven't been here for all the boys' games. They hit it bounced like in the middle of the highway one night and rolled all the way across and hit the building across the street. So.
No, I'm just a part-timer on these games. So.
Yeah, Jacksonville with an early corner here. Coach, you've been here the last several weeks for both the boys and girls soccer games. What are your thoughts on the games that you've seen so far, and have you seen anything that you like?
On both sides, they are so competitive, and they fight until the bitter end. If anything that stood out to me is the fight that we have on both sides of our program, and I'm looking to bring a lot of that to our football program. If I could just have our kids come out and just watch these young men and our young ladies, I think they would be amazed at how tough they are at this level and at this game. It's exciting to see.
It is a really nice shot there from Armando. And, I hated that you had to leave early for that Hallsville game a couple weeks ago. That was probably the best game of the season for sure. That's the best game that we've watched.
Had a good time with
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, they scored with 2 minutes left, too. Did you see any of the goals in the second half?
I did not. So I had to leave to get back to my family, but I heard as soon as I left when that turnaround happened.
He turned on the. I know what he did, Ryan. He got in the truck and he put YouTube on and just listened to the audio of the broadcast. Jacksonville's threatening here. But yeah, you're right, Coach. Especially the girls' game the other night we're talking about. I mean, they showed a lot of grit because they were down 2-0. They hadn't been that way all season. And, Ryan and I talked about it.
This is the first, adversity that they've had to overcome. Yeah,
for sure in district. The early part of the season they were dominant on in most of the games. Yeah, they were dominant in most of the games, and in district they've been dominant all season. And so that was something we were looking at. Is like when they went into halftime, how are they going to come out the second half? Because it tells you a lot about a team. It's easy to come out excited to play the second half when you're winning.
Absolutely.
It's another deal to come out when you're down 2-0 and see how you respond. So that was a good, a great point. And I'm sure that was Roy. Coach Alvarez was glad to see how they responded because he's going to have some challenges when we get into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Yeah, this is a game you expect Jacksonville to win. I know we didn't get to take a look at the district standings. Marshall's currently in last place in district.
But last time they
haven't won a game. A lot of the teams in the district have beaten them 6, even 8-0 in a lot of cases. But the last time that these two teams played each other, Jacksonville's narrowly squeaked out a 3-2 win, which I was told Marshall scored with about a minute left. So it didn't quite maybe end up being as close as it looked on the scoreboard. But still, anything could happen. We're 5 minutes in. Jacksonville has controlled the possession. They're putting a lot of pressure on, threatening for a first goal, but they still have not found one. And, if you're Marshall, you're definitely trying to not only get the upset on senior night, but find your first win of the season.
I call these trap games. The games you are supposed to win, and you don't you don't respect them enough, and they find a way to hang in there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Marshall's able to do. So I know we've talked a little bit about the boys and girls soccer program. I don't know how much experience that you have necessarily coaching girls sports, but what is your experience between coaching girls and coaching boys, and are there any differences that you may have seen between the two?
So, sure, yeah, I was the head boys track coach at Alvarado, and I coached the sprinters and the relays. So I had both boys and girls. So as far as being the competitor, I mean, that's always on both sides. If you wanted to point out a difference, obviously the physical part of it that goes into it. But as far as running track, I mean, you got to have some endurance. I mean, you got to be a competitor. You got to learn how to run your race and overcome it and persevere. So a lot of it's the same. The only thing you can point out that's different is the physical part of it.
Yeah, Ryan and I work a bunch of these. We're offsides. Ryan and I work a bunch of these games, and I watch all the girls' games because my daughter plays soccer. And, we were talking about Emma Hayes, the new girls or women's, I guess I shouldn't say girls, I should be
women's national
team coach. And she talked about how, soccer as a sport is viewed through the lens of how men play the game. And one of her deals is to try and help people understand the lens to how to view it for how women or girls should play the game, to try and develop the program for women in the U.S. You were talking a minute ago, Ryan, about the boys getting numbers forward into attack. We had almost every Jacksonville player, maybe every Jacksonville player, in the attacking third of the field at one point, because I was going to joke around about you were saying we're staying on attack. We're basically playing inside the penalty box for Marshall for the first 5 minutes of the game.
Good run there from Cole. Jacksonville going to win a corner. I know we're here for soccer. You're the athletic director as well. There's lots of other stuff going on. But I think one thing that the community is curious about is why you chose to come to Jacksonville. This is a program that has struggled, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But what drew you to this team, and what excites you the most about this opportunity?
That's a good question. So when this job first came open, I talked to my AD, Casey Walraven at Alvarado, when this job first came open, and we talked for quite a bit about Jacksonville, about the Tomato Bowl, about the burning of the J, about the tradition that's here, and that initially drew my interest. Then when I got here and started to interview, that hiring committee just sealed the deal because they either were from Jacksonville or they've been here long enough to where they're a part of the community. And that to me felt just like home from the superintendent on down. So I knew after I left my initial interview, okay, if this happens, this is the place that I want to be, because I felt protected. It felt just like being at home.
That's good to hear. I know it's probably tough to leave Alvarado. I mean, that's where you're from. You're coaching at your alma mater. I mean, that's one of those things that a lot of people want to be able to do is to coach in their hometown. So I'm sure that was a big decision, for you to want to leave and say, I think this is where I need to be right now. And did you have any feelings like that? Like, man, I really enjoy being in my hometown.
You go 13-1. And then what's coming back, and you're going to be just as good, if not better, than the year before. But I thought about it. I'm like, hey, this is what Casey has done for me over these past 3 years. It's time for me to go do this exact same thing for somebody else. So I want to be able to help and grow coaches and help them navigate, what it takes to be a coordinator, what it takes to be a head coach. So it's my time to help do what he did for me for now for other people.
Yeah, for sure.
I hear you guys brought competition back to the high school with or competition Fridays. What do you call it?
Look, it's competition Fridays, and these kids love it. So here's my idea, and everything that we're doing here, I brought from home. I put my own spin on it. So I'm like, hey,
there's a goal, baby.
This is the place right now that has some challenges. They need some quick wins right now. So our first competition was tug of war in our mat room. So we had 4 competition teams. I just picked some random kids so they can be leaders, and they picked 10 kids of their own, and we had a double elimination tournament. And then I just wanted to see, okay, who's going to fight, who's going to give up, who's got a little toughness in them. And it turned out great. Every kid got involved. Every kid was clapping, yelling, and screaming. So I knew, okay, we're on to something. And then when we got to the bone wrestling part, you would have thought that it was WWE in this place because they were just getting after it. And I'm like, okay, this is how we're going to instill some toughness by bringing competition every Friday. Last week, Coach Owen had a great idea for a competition. You know, he led it. We were in the mat room. He had it to where kids had to think on the fly, which is great because it's the same thing you come out here on a Friday night. We'll have another competition this Thursday. We'll let them go out and have a little fun and then see what we have. But it's been great so far just to see how kids are able to fight and have to make decisions on the fly. So we're going to do this until we start our football skills.
Do you want to tell us what the deal was with the cognitive, or is this something is top secret?
So it's not top secret. So what it is, you want to put kids in a vulnerable spot where they're tired, where they have to think. So it's kind of like Simon says you can put. So if I blow the whistle, the kids gotta pop their feet in an athletic stance, and then I'll give them a command. I might go left, right, left, and they'll repeat to me, left, right, left. I'll tell them again, left, right, left, and they'll repeat it to me, and I'll blow 3 whistles, and they all have to turn in that direction of their command. If you don't do it, you're out. So the first time we did it, I was very shocked because I thought, okay, Ben Bolton's going to win this thing. He's a quarterback, smartest kid in the building, and I was shocked when he was down with him and Saul Garcia. And I'm like, okay, surely Ben's going to win this. And then I gave him a command. I went right, left, right, and they repeated right, left, right. And then as soon as Ben flinched, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So Ben was out, Saul won, and he broke us out for the day. But it was an awesome day.
Yeah, I heard about it the other day. I was up there, and believe it or not, 30 years ago when I graduated high school, we had Competition Fridays.
Yeah.
And it was my favorite thing we did.
Absolutely.
Like, everybody loved it.
Yeah.
We had, wrestling. We had, how do you say it the right way? Wrestling. I say it, wrestling, baby, wrestling. So, yeah, we had that.
That's why you struggle with the pregame.
Yeah. He's from Alvarado. He can understand this. We had wrestling. We had an obstacle course one time. We had a deal where we had to recover a fumble type deal. But it was the most fun that we had, and it was close to the end of school. And I just remember everybody enjoyed it, and it really got a lot of morale going.
Absolutely.
We did it on Fridays, and it gave everybody looked forward to, because we were working hard during the week.
Yeah.
And when it came to Friday, we were looking forward to going to the field house.
Absolutely.
And doing competition on Fridays. So
that's how it should work. So we'll have one Thursday. It'll be a different version of 7-on-7. We'll put it to where the lineman has to be the quarterback. So I'm looking to see how that one's going to turn out. So I'm looking forward to Thursday.
Yeah.
We'll go down to Happy Valley and see what it's all about.
This Thursday?
This Thursday.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, so how do the boys respond to this stuff when you got them, like, bringing this in, we're doing competition?
Listen, you would have thought, well, let's go back to our first workout. You would have thought that I killed them. I'm like, surely we're going to get through this workout, right? So how we had it set up is Mondays and Wednesdays, you gotta show up. Give us a 2-day commitment. We start at 7 o'clock in the morning. And if you do it that way, a lot of the good programs work out in the morning. So during the period, you can work on track, or you can do football skills, or you can do agility. But you would have thought that Monday that it was the worst thing I ever seen because they couldn't make it through a workout. They're hobbling to class. I get emails about what's going on down there because these kids cannot make it to class on time. I'm like, well, we're doing something right. But they've had a great time with it. But like you just said, the main focus is Monday through Thursday. We're gonna put our head down. We're gonna get the work. But when Friday comes around, it's time to take off the reins a little bit and let's compete. Let's have fun with it.
That sounds really good. I know we did some boot camp stuff when I was in high school. We didn't do competition Fridays or anything. That sounds like a ton of fun.
It is. Kids love it.
Yeah, Coach Long cooked hamburgers for us when the winning team, because we did it as a competition.
Yeah, through the whole
and so the end of the deal,
weeks.
whoever had the most points, that was the Coach Long cooked hamburgers for us.
So the idea is we can't do it right now. It was kind of I had to do it as fast as I could. So next year,
for sure.
So next year when we get here and when everybody's on staff, the coaches will draft the kids, and we'll set up competition that way. And then you will win and lose points by failing grades. You win points by how you show up. You lose points by bad teacher emails. So that way we're trying to let them know, hey, everything around this program is important, not just football.
Leading into this next question that I have for you, Coach,
Okay.
how was Alvarado's program when you got there?
So that's another good question. So they were 2-8 prior to us getting there. So I was coming from Copper's Cove. Casey was coming from Cleburne. So was the OC. There were some current guys that were already there. They were from Alvarado, which was great. I think a few came from some other various spots, but they were 2-8, and we came in, and same thing I'm doing here. There was not a single talk about winning a game. It did not come out of anybody's mouth. It was how we were going to do it, and we started with working out in the morning. Started out with the competitions. You started to see them wanted to lead more. We never talked about being a leader, because if I tell a kid you got to be a leader, more than likely they're not going to do it. So we kind of put the pressure back on them by doing competition to see who's going to stand out, who's going to be able to lead that team, and it worked for us. And that program now is what's going to be here. It's a player-led program. Like, kids know the expectations. They know I come in, I got to line up. This is what we do every single day, and there's no way around it. So when you have programs like that are already in place, once they catch on to it and understand it and buy in, it takes on a life of its own. And that's what I want to bring here.
I think that sounds fantastic. The more ownership that you can have the kids take, the better. I mean,
100%.
If it's coach led and you're constantly forcing the kids,
It's
I
a
mean,
problem.
it's tough for sure. And this Jacksonville program is one that has struggled in recent years. Haven't made the playoffs since 2017. The last 5 years have seen records of 1-9, 1-9, 3-7, 0-10, and 1-9. It's a program that needs a serious rebuild to happen. So you've kind of talked about it a little bit. What do you think are the keys to building a successful football program?
So I'm probably going to answer a lot of these questions too with just this response, but it's about being disciplined, and that's how you win games. So any goals you have for any program, not just football, any aspirations that team has, any milestones that you want to hit, it all goes back to discipline. So the things that you want to do that you can't make yourself do, can you make yourself do it? On the flip side of that, the things that you don't want to do but you need to, can you make yourself do it? I mean, and that's all it comes down to, and it's all about those choices. But if you have that discipline within your program and kids know what is expected of them and they want to do it, the sky is going to be the limit. And what I want for these kids here is to understand, it's don't look at me coming in trying to take over. It's me wanting to do what you told me you wanted when I came in, which was to win. Well, this is how we have to do it. You got to give me those morning commitments. You got to run track during the period. You got to do agility. You have to be able to compete on Fridays, and then you got to do it again next week. And the thing I told them coming in, this just gives us a chance to be successful. There's no guarantees in this, but if you don't show up Monday, Wednesday, you don't do the extra, you are guaranteed to go your 0-10, your 1-9, and your 3-7. So right now, how we're doing things, we're giving ourselves a chance to be successful, and it all goes back to discipline and showing up.
Yeah, I like to hear you say the word discipline. I mean, a lot of people look for motivation.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in motivation
100%.
and discipline.
Yeah.
And I like to hear you use the word discipline because, it's one thing for them to look for the coaches to motivate them, but the kids have got to have that discipline themselves to want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't want it for them.
Yeah.
They've got to want it for themselves.
And then the reason why I say that is I go back to that buzzsaw I played 2 years in a row with those Salina Bobcats, because I've seen what it looks like, and I've seen you couldn't tell those kids that they were not the best team on a Friday night. If you compared our team to theirs, talent for talent, we're right there with them. I mean, and it is a 21-20 ball game going into halftime. But coming out in the second half, when they made mistakes, it didn't matter. Like they kept playing. But if we made a mistake during a crucial moment, it was hard for us to recover. And then by the time you look up, you're out of a ball game. But it all went back to the discipline part. Can I do what I need to do every single time? And I've seen what it takes to get there, and I'm excited about this opportunity because I know what it could be.
Yeah, that's a good one because, I mean, I was watching a video the other day on Coach Saban talking about that and how that's what he's looking for in players. Like, what makes you break? You know, how much toughness do you have? What happens when there's another goal, Ryan. Hit your replay so the fans can see that one.
I got it.
Yeah, but I mean that's what he's looking at is like, how do you respond when things don't go your way? When you get a penalty, when you miss a play, you know, when you drop a ball, how do you respond? And his whole deal was like, what is it that makes you break? And you've got to build up and have that inner drive to overcome that.
I've seen the same video where he talks about those external factors. What is it? And so I love it.
Your algorithm and my algorithm
must be the same.
Oh man, that was you just mentioned one thing that the team in Alvarado last year against Salina, when it got to those critical moments, how that they responded. So how do you deal with pressure, especially during those critical moments of a game or a season as a whole?
I'm as cool as a fan. Like, nothing really bothers me. I understand that we play a game. I'm not playing these kids are. So my whole role is, have we put these kids in enough opportunities in practice to where they can be able to overcome what I know is about to happen on these Friday nights. So my job is, again, to let them know what's about to happen. But I'm relaxed. It doesn't bother me. I've been in those tough moments, like, because I know what it's like to play Sulphur Springs and Frisco, Panther Creek, and teams you're not supposed to beat, you find a way to beat them. So I'm as relaxed as I can, but I want to make sure that our kids are just as relaxed as I am going into those type of games.
Maintaining that composure,
that's it.
For sure.
You have to.
It's like Marshall got a free kick here.
I mean, Cole dispossessed that kid, and everybody thought it was clean except for the referee.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's how it goes. But, Jacksonville easily defends that ball, and they're going to go right back on an attack. Yeah, Ryan and I watch a lot of soccer.
Okay.
So we're going to ask you a bunch of questions about soccer and formations and stuff like that. But
I'm about to mute my mic here in a second.
with soccer, what you're talking about goes along with one of the topics that we talk about, though. Soccer is very autonomous. So the players, they have to make decisions in the moment, in the flow of the game. And that, you're looking at it as a coach saying, hey, I know what's coming, but the kids have got to be able to respond to it. So it just kind of made me think of that, like, with a coach and with soccer, because Brian and I both talked to a lot of time around the game. But it's such a game of flow that doesn't get a lot of chance for the coach to have little impacts during the game, and it just kind of made me think about how autonomous the game is, and that's what you're trying to say is you need your players to be able to internally do that for themselves. You can't, you can help them before it, but when it comes to the moment, they've got to be the one that responds.
Especially the quarterback, because he's got to be able to scan the field and see what's there and not there, and be able to make the best decision. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I always like to say in the soccer game, everybody gets to be the quarterback.
Pretty much.
Everybody gets to be the quarterback.
At some point in the game, yeah.
Everybody gets to play quarterback.
Well, Coach, you've talked a little bit about, the competition Fridays. You're going to work hard Monday through Thursday, have some fun on Friday.
Absolutely.
You could maybe say the game on Friday during the season would be a competition Friday fun thing. But, it's not always necessarily. So how do you manage balancing, the work and the play and the fun that you have during the season?
So to me, I think right now what these kids are going through should mirror what they're about to witness on Friday night. So it all goes back to what they're doing Monday through Thursday. And when they come in here for a Friday on the Tomato Bowl, this part should be the easy part. Like, this is nothing more than the game. You've already went through all the hard stuff throughout the week. Why not go out and get a reward for it? So that's how we operate. I mean, Monday through Thursday, we're going to put our head down. We're going to work. This is the hardest part of our day. When we get out here on Friday, this is our reward for it.
Marshall got a little burst of energy here.
Just a little bit, yeah.
By the way, we spend about half the time talking about the game and about half the time talking about random stuff.
Okay.
So,
It depends on the game. Depends on the game.
yeah, true.
Sometimes we talked about the Goonies. Last year there was a giant rainbow on the opposite side that we could literally see the beginning and the end of, which was pretty cool. So then Paul pulled up rainbow facts and asked me like rainbow trivia during the second half.
We were
of that
also
game.
winning
It
like
was-
11-0.
I think it was like 15. Or
Okay,
something
it was a
like that.
lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Could you answer the questions?
I mean,
Surprisingly.
several of them, yeah. Surprisingly, yeah, I answered quite a few of them.
So here we go. Coach, what state in the
here
United
we go.
States has more rainbows than any other state? Ryan, you can phone a friend if you like, because Ryan, believe it or not, got this one off the top of his head.
I'm
last
phoning
year.
you.
Your phone at me?
Yes.
I think it was Hawaii.
It was
right?
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, how would you describe your coaching philosophy, and how do you implement that with the players? I know I heard you talk a little bit in some interview stuff that
Questions
you
are hard.
wanted.
This is like
No,
a,
it's-
you
it's
get
not.
an interview
I'm
again.
getting grilled, didn't I? It's okay. I'm giving the exact same response I gave them. I'm ready. Come on.
I mean, what I heard you say in an interview was we're going to go in, I'm going to ask the players what they want, what their expectations for the program are.
100%.
I know that's kind of probably what you're about to say, but just describe your coaching philosophy and then how that implements and you handle that situation with the players.
So my philosophy is protect, change, and save. So my whole piece about protecting is I want those kids in an environment, which the field house, where they can come and just be their authentic selves. They don't have to worry about anything. It's like a safe haven for them. Like they need to come and know this is a place of peace. Where this is where I can come and I can be myself. And there's no consequences. The change part is I want people to see the maturity from their freshman year throughout their senior year if there's not some type of immediate change. And the last part is always hard, the saving part. I don't want kids to quit any sport with any program because the things I've learned over the years is when kids quit, they don't necessarily replace you with anything positive. So the hard part is keeping every kid we can within our program and finding a place for them to be successful. It's always the hardest thing to do because do you lose a kid and you keep the program intact, or do you keep a kid around and then all of a sudden other people see it and you're in a detriment. So it's like what do you do? But my job is to make sure that saving part. I just got it in there. That we can save every kid that we can here. That's part of Jacksonville Athletics.
I've heard you already had quite a few kids come back.
We've had about 7 or 8 kids come back, and I just told them how it's going to be different, and I'm always, well, look at what I do and not what I say. So they've a part of the program. They've seen it so far. They're working hard. They're enjoying it because they keep coming back, and that lets me know that we're doing something right and we're on the right track.
That's one thing that I feel like Jacksonville's really struggled with over the past several years is keeping kids in the program. I mean, we would have 100 kids in middle school, and then you have 30 that show up the first day for freshman football.
Yeah.
So I think that's good to hear that you've had some kids come back, and I think the more kids like that, because there's a lot of kids that don't grow in middle school, and so they may be be on the B team, or they don't play on the A team, or whatever the situation may have been the last several years, that then grow in high school and could have been a fantastic athlete, but they were treated and almost discarded in middle school, and so they never play in high school. So I think that's really good to hear that you want to try to keep as many kids in the program, especially throughout the whole. I mean, you never know when that next man up mentality is going to have to occur. I mean, that people get hurt during football. I mean, it's a violent game, as my college coaches like to say. Not a physical game. They called it a violent game. I mean, it's like getting hit in a car crash for every time that you make a tackle. So, it's a game that there's lots of injuries. You never know.
You're talking all the mamas out right now. He's
whatever, man.
He's like, that's enough, Ryan. You're going to talk all the mamas out of letting their kids play.
I'll try to ease that.
It's football. I mean, it's just part of it. I mean, you got to come out, you got to work hard, and the harder that you work during the off season and what they're doing right now, I mean, the more prepared you are for the season, so you can prevent some of those injuries and things. But yeah, that is one thing that my college coaches talked about, and I think if you have that next man up mentality, I mean, anyone's number could be called on any given night, and the more options that you have, the better.
I think now with what our admin is doing with supporting athletics is now we have a chance to go down into the junior high or the middle school for first and second period. So I will be there, the OC will be there, the DC will be there, so we can be around those kids all the time. And I think the more that they see us, the more excited they're going to be about wanting to be a part of our athletic program. And I think I foresee our numbers growing here pretty soon.
Oh, he's going to find
Get in that ball.
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah, that's really fantastic to hear. Especially that y'all are able to go over and really make a point to be with the middle school kids. So the more they see you, the better. I mean, it's not like, oh, we didn't see him for 2 years, and now, we're going to suddenly be coached by him in high school, and it's like a completely different world, and you don't know what to expect. But, I mean, if you're over there and you're setting the expectation and they're around you and know who you are, I mean, I feel like that makes the jump from middle school to high school a whole lot easier as well.
Yeah, I really like where you're talking about the players. It sounds like for you want to make a positive impact on these people, on the young men and young women that are a part of the program, something that makes it they're better off because they're a part of the program.
Absolutely.
Are you familiar with Simon Sinek and Define Your Why?
Simon Sinek and Define Your Why. No, I don't think so.
Oh, you are. You just don't know it. Because your answer to your question goes right along with that. Why are you a coach? And that what you're saying is like about being, an impact on these young men and young women. That's one thing. Like Ryan and I were up here for a deal with Coach Long, and one of the things he talked about was like we're coaching young men or young women. He's like, we're using football to do that. So, and I just thought that when you answer that question, it makes me think exactly of that same philosophy. It's like, we're coaching the sport, but the sport's the vehicle for how do we make an impact on these young people.
It also just teaches you so many life lessons as well. I mean, just working hard and being disciplined, having determination to achieve a goal. I mean, that's something that you can apply to your work life. I mean, it kind of goes as a family, like as a parent. I mean, there's so many facets of life that what you learn in a sport doesn't necessarily have to be football, but just sports in general. I mean, it kind of applies to the rest of your life. Yeah. So very impactful for sure. I thought they kept that ball in somehow.
So, yeah, your eyes are better than mine, but
I mean, we're looking at a light gray line on the far side. Like it's almost invisible.
Well, one thing, Coach, you have been at quite a few of the games. I think you've been at every one since you've been here.
Yeah, I haven't missed.
Yeah,
haven't missed. My next stop is I want to get some eyes on our baseball program and see how things are going there. So I'm trying to make it a point to show how involved I am and how involved I'm going to be in all of our sports.
Well, we talked a little bit about Nick Saban coming up on your feed. Who are your influences, and who do you kind of look up to that are, your biggest influences as a coach? It could be, not necessarily just football coaches, but anybody.
Outside of Nick Saban, I'm trying to think. He's a motivational speaker, and I want to say his name is Inky. He used to play at Tennessee. I think I can't think of his name. I remember the first name being Inky. I can't think of the last name, but I'm going to go with Nick Saban. So everything he talks about is true. He always goes back to discipline, no matter what the conversation is about, because you have to be able to be willing to do the right things all the time, regardless of the circumstances that you're in. And then for kids these days, that's very hard to do because there's so much that's happening around them. But as far as the influential person in my coaching career and who I look to for, any kind of motivation is going to be Nick Saban. I think he's the GOAT and always will be.
I mean, I agree with that. It's fun to watch him on College Game Day now too. It's super fun.
I mean, I love watching those videos when they come up and he goes and breaks that kind of stuff down. Because he's somebody who just makes it simple. That's one thing I like about him is he takes something that's really, complex and he makes it simple. He's
Absolutely.
Like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to A, B, and C, and this is how we're going to create success.
That's it.
a lot of times in our industry that we actually make a living in, I see a lot of times people make things really complicated and not they'll take something that's not that difficult and they'll make it really complicated.
Yeah.
And then the ones that are really good, they'll take things that are very complex and they'll make them simple.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's one of the deals with Saban. He's got a knack for just breaking it down where it's super simple.
Coach, I think I've got maybe 2 more questions for you. Actually, maybe 3. So, one thing that we had when I was in college at ETBU was that I feel like really helped the program turn around because I was involved in like a really big program turnaround at ETBU.
Okay.
I think they had been struggling for a long time. The year before I got there was when my head coach at the time, Coach Ergel, got there. And I think they were 3-6 that season, or 3-7. And then we went 4-6 my freshman year. And then we had 3 straight seasons when I was there where we went 7-3, 7-3, 7-3. And we're in, one of the top 2 conferences in Division III football.
Yeah.
So very, very tough conference for sure. But one thing that they implemented that I feel like really helped turn the program around too was having some specific and measurable goals for each game. And ours were kind of by position groups. I've heard, individual players and stuff as well doing the stickers on the helmets. I'm not necessarily saying that we're going to do stickers or anything. That's up to you. But what goals have you set for the team or for individual players? And how do you plan to track that progress throughout the season?
I really hate to be repetitive, and I'm sorry for this answer, but so we're going to have goal boards when you come in. I'm looking for some new ones as we speak. So offense, defense, special teams, and you'll have X amount of passing yards, team total yards, no turnovers, no false starts. But in order to do that, it goes back to be a more disciplined team. So my goal for this entire team this year is to be getting the ball. Is to be a more disciplined team. That's what I want. So if we're a more disciplined team, every goal that we want, that these kids want individually, will happen. So right now, I don't know what that goal board is going to say. What I do know is if we do what we're supposed to do, when we're supposed to do it, we'll hit every goal on that goal board.
Yeah, I really like that. In business, that's one of the things we look at with, what we do, where we actually make an income. This is not the most lucrative thing we have. But yeah, when you're working at something, you've got to know your goals.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever your job is, you've got to know, how do you determine success? What are the things that you need to do to get there? I like to talk to my guys about, don't focus on the end result. Let's focus on the things it takes to get the end result. And that's one of the things that, it sounds like exactly what you're talking about is let's focus on the metrics, and the metrics will lead to the outcomes.
Absolutely.
So we kind of talked a little bit about this season, but what is your vision for this program over the next maybe 3 to 5 years?
That's another good question. So I want to be a household name in East Texas. That's what I want. And I think that can happen by doing the things that we're doing now, kids showing up, kids buying in, creating some wins now in our off season on our competition days, kids buying in. The more that happens and the more consistent we are and we can show that product on the field, I think it will continue to happen year in and year out. And then now people are going to want to know, well, what's happening in Jacksonville, how they do it so quickly. So I want them to see us as a powerhouse in East Texas. That is our goal for the next 3 to 5 years.
He's not getting that one.
No.
This guy's seen him play too many times. He's not getting that call.
And there is some talent here to get that done.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we've had a lot of talent over the last several years. Chris Carpenter just declared for the NFL draft for this season.
Yes, he did.
Devin McEwen's been a standout at UTSA. We had a couple guys go to TCU as well. So I think that was actually Deshaun McEwen. That was Devin's brother. Was at TCU for a couple of years. So we've had some guys, that have been an impact at some of these big programs.
Yeah.
It just hasn't, translated to high school football as much as we probably would have liked. So, there's lots of talent here in Jacksonville, and I'm excited to see what you guys are able to do. I do have one more question, and I'll let you get back. I know your daughter's out here in the press box probably waiting on you.
She's not worried about me anymore.
But outside of football, how do you like to spend your time, and what's something that maybe most people don't know about you?
Me and my family love to go watch movies any chance we get. Like, we love movies. My daughter is eating popcorn as we speak. So all she cares about is Sprite and popcorn. But going to the movies, every chance we get, we're always there. You're laughing. It's serious.
No, I'm laughing because
he's laughing because I'm the same way.
How many movies did you watch?
In 2023, I went to and watched 102 in theaters.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm at the movie theater a lot.
You may have just met your new best friend.
Come on. So living in Alpharetta, there is an AMC theater that's in Burleson, which is like 15 minutes down the street. So sometimes that comes out, that's kid appropriate, or me and the wife want to go see it and drop the kid off at her theater's house. We go and check it out. But outside of that, I love to read every chance I get. It don't matter what it is. It sparks some type of idea, no matter what it is, and it gets the brain going. So that's what people don't know about me. Any chance I get, I don't care what it is, I'm going to pick it up and read it and see what kind of thought-provoking information is in this book. But I love it. I love to read.
What's your favorite book? I want to hear.
I was going to ask if there's anything that you've read recently that you'd recommend.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, because I got it.
He knows what I'm hoping comes out at some point. So
what? I do?
Todd does. What book does Paul always talk about?
Give me 1 second. I almost have it all.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Yeah.
Come on.
I thought you meant like coming out like as a book idea.
No,
wanting to read. I was like,
no.
Why would I know that?
No, because I always talk about 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People happens to be like what I think maybe the best book written in the last century. So Sharon's like,
that's pretty strong.
I mean,
coming there.
it's a good book.
Best book in the last 100 years.
Well, I didn't want to say ever, because then somebody's going to be like, Paul, you didn't talk about the Bible. Are you forgetting about the Bible? The Bible is a compilation of many books. It just happens to be all put together into one binder.
So this one is called Inner Excellence Unchained, and it's by Roland Jakes. So what it is, it's about freeing your mind and learning how to overcome, learning how to persevere, and learning how to overcome any battles, any obstacles. And I think it's a great read for not only any coach, but anybody that just wants to learn how to maybe unlock something that's creating fear. So right now I'm on chapter 5, and I'll probably finish some time over spring break.
Yeah, I like to hear that. You've got to be constantly looking for improvement in your personal self as well as in the team and others. But somebody who's reading books and constantly trying to work on how do I get better. That's one of the things that I think that a lot of people kind of take for granted. Is you get to a certain spot and like everything, but the wise people realize there's so much more out there that I need to know and I could know, and they continually strive to go for that.
Love it. I'm always asking questions all the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in understanding that there's more to know. I used to work with the youth at our church for years, and I would always tell that, and you'll appreciate this because you work with the same age. At 17, 18 years old, you are the smartest you will be in your entire life because you don't know what you don't know. And there's going to be a point, it's not in high school usually, where they start to realize, oh, wait a minute, there's more, and I don't know it. And that's the beginning of maturity.
Absolutely. I love that.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. We were here the whole first half. Hope everybody at home enjoyed
it. That's a podcast, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, we do have a meet and greet with Coach Stevenson tomorrow here in the historic Tomato Bell from 4 to 6 p.m. Definitely come out and meet the coach if you haven't already. Once again, thank you for joining us. I really enjoyed it. Glad we got to have you on, and enjoy the rest of the game.
Thank you for having me.